The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar this week. My name is Tanya, and I'm the Marketing Manager over here at Struxsoft Solutions. Just for those of you who are new with us today, MWF or Metalwood Framer is our automated Revit wall, floor, ceiling, and truss framing software for light gauge steel and also wood modeling. Today's session will be led by our MWF technician, Thais. She'll be covering shop drawing labeling, including how to choose a labeling method, smart tags, labels by method, and much more. Just before we get going, I want to remind everyone that at the end of the webinar, we'll be taking a few questions. Please feel free to type in questions throughout the webinar in the GoToWebinar dashboard. You'll find this under the questions tab. Just to let you know, for any questions that have not been answered at the end of the session, we'll make sure to get back to you individually within 24 hours. All right, that's it for me. I'm going to hand off to Thais now.
Hi, everyone. I hope everyone is having a nice week so far. So as Tanya mentioned, today we're going to take a closer look at the main options we have available for labeling our shop drawings. So we have two ways basically of doing that. The first way will be by using Revit Smart Tags, and the second way would be by using the options that we have within the shop drawing settings. So I'm gonna show you first how the options that we have for MWF. So I'm just gonna get inside my drawings manager, and I have here already some settings. So I'm just gonna click here. And then I'm gonna go to my elevation view. And here is the tab that I have my labels options. So the first two that we have here are options that we use to actually label the framing, the structural framing. The other options that we have here are secondary options for other elements that you may have on your panel. Those are pretty straightforward. So you can label your openings. You can also label your MEP elements in case you have them on your panel. What else? You can also, in case you're using the lifting hose tool, you can actually tag your clips and you can show your center of gravity. So these options, they're not super necessary. It's just secondary options that we have. But if you do want to label your structural framing elements, then you would have to use either this one or this one here. So we're gonna go over the first option that we have here, label panel members by method. So I should have this checked off, and then I come here to my view settings, and I have again another tab here for my labels. So these are the settings. For this option, we have 5 methods that we can use. I'm just gonna go over very quickly about the other settings that we have here. So you can either label all of your members from your panel, or you can have a selection of the members that you actually want to label. Let's say, for example, you only want to label your vertical studs. You can check off vertical studs and left everything else blanked. Or you can just choose to label all of them. You also have the option to align your labels to the left of your members, at the center, or to the right of your members. You can also change the orientation, so horizontal and vertical. So vertical will be rotated 90 degrees. You can change your text type. And these options here, they are here to help rearrange the labels automatically when you're generating the drawings. So let's say in case you have too much information on your drawings, this will help keep your drawings a little bit less busy. So the proximity grouping here, if you choose to add number, what's going to do is that, let's say you have 2 vertical studs close together and they have the same label. What's going to do is it's going to place one label for both of them, and then you're gonna have in between brackets the number of members that you have with that label. So let's say if I have 2 identical studs close to each other, I'm gonna have the label, and then next to it, I'm gonna have the number. If you choose not to group, then you're gonna have one label for each member of your panel. So you can also do that, of course. It's just, it could be a little bit busy when you generate the drawings. They can be overlapping. And then you also have the option to move the end studs and track labels to the edge of the panels. So they're going to be outside the panel. So again, just an option for the drawing itself not to get too busy. And you can also move the opening member labels to inside the openings. So let's just go back here to label method. I'm going to start by showing the first one by name. So I'm just going to click OK. I already have my sheet here with my layout. I'm just going to click OK. And I'm going to select here my panel and just generate the drawing. So this first option by name is going to be looking at the BIMSF label parameter. So once we generate the drawing, you're going to see that the information that we have there is the information that we have here under BIMSF label parameter. So if I double click here, as you can see, for example, for my end stud, I have here E1. So it's going to be looking at this parameter here, BIMSF label. Now, our second option is by distribution. So I'm going to go back again inside my marker manager. Oh, sorry, drawings manager. And I'm going to go again to my elevation view. And again, it's still the same option. I'm just going to change my method. I'm going to come here to my labels tab and select by distribution. And I'm going to run again my shop drawings. And for this option, it's not looking at any parameter that we have here in the file. It's actually looking at a text file that we have in our installation folder, which is called tag mapping. So it's again going to assign a letter and a number to each member. So as you can see here, this one will be C1. And we don't have this information here. It's going to be referring to our text file in our installation folder. So we're going to have to come here, see, program files, StruxSoft Solutions. I'm using Revit 2021, commands, 2021 again, MWF, and then config. And this is where you can find the tag mapping. So if I double click on it, as you can see, I have here, these are my members, and the letter that I have here after is what it's looking at. So you can actually change that information. If you don't want your vertical studs to be tagged as C, you want another letter, you can just type in and just save it, and you would have this information in your shop drawings. And then after the letter, you can see that we have a number. So what MWF is going to do is just going to start from 0 and then 1, 2, 3, and so on. So it's going to try to number in a sequence starting from 0. And then for our third option, we're going to go back again and to our elevation view. Again, in the first one here, but we're going to change our method to by positioning. So for this option, you have to run panel and member positioning. So I'm just going to close here, and I'm going to quickly show you where you can do that. So you can come here to output, and you're gonna have an option to run panel positioning and also member positioning. It takes a little time to do it, so I already did that. And once you do that, I'm just gonna go inside just to show you what it does. So it's going to compare all of this data, and it's going to generate a specific number having all of this data in mind. So for example, my members that have the exact, they are the exact same family type, exact same length, exact same punches, and so on, they're gonna receive the same number. And we're gonna generate a parameter called position name. So as you can see here, this one is 0003. And then this is what is going to be looking at when I generate my shop drawings using the positioning method. So if I come here to my drawing again, as you can see, I have my numbers, and we have several of them that are the same because they are the same length, the same family. So it's just going to be looking at this parameter here, positioning. And as you can see, when we have two of the same with the same label close together, it's just going to group, and you're gonna have the number of members under in between brackets. And now for our last method, I'm going to go back here to my elevation view and to my labels. And we also have this option by advanced positioning, but this one is specific to some CNC machines. So it's AMS and BEC, I believe. If you do have those machines, you can run advanced positioning. You're gonna get a parameter assigned to each member. It works more or less like the positioning. You're gonna get a specific ID for each member, and then you can assign these numbers, these parameters to your shop drawings. But because this is very specific to those machines, I'm just gonna skip that one, and we're gonna talk about the last one here by schedule label, which I believe is the most popular one. I see a lot of clients using this one. And this one will be looking at the BIMSF schedule label parameter. I'm just gonna click OK. And it's very important to remember to actually run distribution before generating the drawing. So you have to check this option off here, so you can actually have the parameter assigned to the members. And then I'm just gonna click OK, close. And I'm going to generate my drawings again. You also have the option to run distribution here under outputs. You can actually do that before, but I find it very practical that you can do that at the same time that you're generating your drawings. You just have to remember to go to the miscellaneous tab there and check off the run distribution. And this is how it's going to look like. So for example, our vertical studs, they're gonna get the C0, as you can see here. It's going to be looking at this parameter, BIMSF schedule label. And now for our very last option that we have here within MWF settings will be, let's go to my elevation view, will be the second option here. So this option label members along center, it's actually going to refer to the label parameter. And this is not the same. It's not the same as BMSF label. It's another one only called label. And you get this parameter when you have multi-layer panels on your project. So in case you're working in a project that only has standard panels in it, you're not going to get this label. But if you do have multi-layer on your project, you're going to get this label as well. And you can also assign it to your standard panels. So even though this is more for multi-layer panels, you can still use it on your standard ones. You just have to remember to check if you actually have this parameter assigned to your standard panels. And if you don't have it, you can always manually create the parameter and assign to your panels. Other thing to note is that you can't really use both of them together. So it's either one or the other. So you have to uncheck the first one and check off this second one. Okay, if you have both of them checked, you're going to get an error and it's not going to generate any drawings. So it's just something to be mindful, just to remember that to uncheck the first option. And this one is more automatic. It doesn't have much settings like the first one. If we come here to the other tab, as you can see, you can change your text type and your orientation, and that's about it. So it's not, you don't have much flexibility like the other one, but it's a good option in case you want something with less settings and a little bit more automated. So if we come here and we generate our drawings, then you can see, even though it's the same, we have the same information here from the BMSF schedule label, it's not looking at this one, it's looking at this one, label here. So if you don't have this parameter assigned to your members, when you generate the drawing, it's just going to be empty. You're not going to have labels. So this is just something to remember always. You'll be fine if it's a multi-layer panel, but just important to take a look before when it's a standard panel, if you do have this parameter assigned to it. And that's it for the options within MWF. So now we're going to see smart tags. So just for those who are still new to Revit, smart tags will be here. It's a Revit feature. You have to check in your project before running the shop drawings if you do have the tags for the column framings and structural framing. So if you don't have these tags, you can come here to loaded tags. This is the list of tags that you have on your project. In case you don't have it here, you can always come here to load family, and you will be redirected to your Revit library. And then you can just insert your tags. So once that's done, you can come here to Wall Drawings Manager again, to your settings. And then framing elevation. So first step is to uncheck both of these options. Otherwise, it won't work very well. And you can come here to your view settings, and this is where you're gonna find the smart tags option. So I'm gonna click here, and again, I'm inside my tags manager. I have all of my tags here, and those are the ones that we're going to use: structural column tags and structural framing tags. So in case you cannot find it here, it's just that you have to download it in your project using the Revit library. And once that's done, you can click OK. And OK. And now we're going to generate our drawings again. And out of the box, it's going to have the type name parameter. So by default, the smart tags are going to have that parameter assigned to them. So basically what we're going to see is the family name here, the family type. And then I'm going to show you how we can change this parameter to something a little bit more useful. And now I think it's done. So this is how it's going to look like out of the box if you didn't change anything before. And what you can do is you can actually double click on it. You're going to get inside the tag family. And then you're going to click here, go to edit. And what I want to do is add to my list here MWF parameter. So I'm going to come here and select. And as you guys can see, I have my list of parameters here. And let's just use the schedule label. I think that's a pretty good one to use. Let's click OK. So I'm just going to click to this and then take this out and click OK. And then you can load into the project again. So now, as you can see, is again looking at my BMSF schedule label parameter. If I click here on my vertical stud, it's going to be looking at this information here. And I can also do the same for this other one here. Let's click on the tag, go to edit, and again, select our BMSF schedule label. Click OK. And let's just load this in. And there it is. We have again the same information that we had when we ran the option in MWF shop drawing settings for the by schedule label method. Oh, sorry, by schedule label. So the difference between using the smart tags and the options within MWF are basically, it's going to depend on your workflow. So it's going to depend on your workflow and what you want to show, which information you need on your shop drawings. So for the smart tags, for example, they are smart tags. So the options within MWF, they are just text. So the labels are generated with the drawings and they are just text. So in case you have major changes on your project, you have to redo your drawings. When you use smart tags, you don't have that problem so much because they are always up to date to the information that you have. Let's say you generate all of your drawings and then you realize that you don't need this information. You need to change the parameter. You have to look at other information. You can again come inside the tag family and just change the parameter. And you don't have to redo all of your drawings again. The downside of the smart tags, it's one, it doesn't group. Like we don't have that option that we saw to group the tags. So it can get a little busy and you have to manually move them around. And the other issue with the smart tags is that Revit only allows one tag per family. So it's just something to be mindful. In case that doesn't work for you, you can always go and use the options available in MWF. So I think that's it for me. Let's see if we had some questions coming through.
Awesome. Thank you, Thais. So as she mentioned, we have a couple minutes to answer a few questions. Just would like to remind everyone that if you'd like to pose a question, please do so by typing in the questions tab now. And just while we wait for any questions to come through, I just want to let everyone know that the recording of the webinar will be sent through tomorrow. As always, please feel free to share this recording with any colleagues, as well as if you'd like to set up a one-on-one demonstration or if you have any follow-up questions. We highly encourage you to reach out to our team. Our contact details will be available with the recording tomorrow. All right, I'm just going to see if there's any questions that have come through. All right, Thais, it looks like we have a couple. The first one is, if I add an extra member to the panel using edits, will this change be picked up by the labels, or do I have to generate the drawings again?
Okay, so yes, it will be picked up. Like, for example, let's say I'm going to select this vertical stud here and copy it to the side. And I'm gonna come here and add structural member. I'm gonna add it as a vertical stud. And then you can come here and refresh your drawings. And then it's actually going to pick up that you have a new member here and it's going to label. So yeah, you can do that. And it works also for the options that we have within MWF settings. It's going to be the same. Once you refresh your drawings, it's going to pick up here and also on your schedule, on your cut list.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. We have one other question. The question is, can we change the symbol for center of gravity?
Okay, so no, you can't. When you run the lifting hose tool and you go there to have the center of gravity showing up, what it's going to do, this one, for those who don't know. So what it's going to do is that it's going to generate this symbol here, but you can't really change. It's not, again, like a smart tag or a family. It's just a symbol that gets generated along with the shop drawings. So it's going to be this one always.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right, that seems like that's a wrap for today. For any questions that have been submitted through the chat that we have not gotten to, we'll make sure to get to them as soon as possible by email. And as I mentioned before, if you do have any follow-up questions after the session is closed, please feel free to email us. Our contact details will be provided with the recording tomorrow. All right, we'll now be ending the webinar. Thank you again, Thais, and thank you to everyone who registered. Have a great day.
Thanks, everyone. Have a nice day.